But hold on, this brings some interesting points
Okay.
because we're talking about financial contentment. And it seems like people are never happy, never fully satisfied, never contented.
Welcome. This is For Better and Worth.
The podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young. And we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it.
Hey, honey.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Are you ready? Huh?
Stay ready.
I mean, when I said I wanted to not have my papers on the table, you just threw them on the floor. Like this is what we doing today, huh?
Look, I'm just trying to be of help.
You know what? I'm gonna
Trying to be an aid and an assistant.
I'm gonna push yours off the table. How about that?
No.
See,
I said worry about your side of the table.
Why you ain't worried about just yours and you worrying about mine too? Huh?
How you guys doing out there in YouTube and podcast world?
Oh my gosh. So anyway, we here today and I'm feeling a little froggy. Okay. I don't know. Something is different.
This is how relationships should work. You should be able to have fun, poke fun at each other.
How you feeling?
Just figure it out. I'm just chill.
You chill?
I'm chilling.
Oh my goodness.
It's all good.
Are you content, babe?
You know, in life, I think I'm reaching a point of contentment.
That means you're not 100%.
I think, there's always some ambition or something else you're striving towards. And I wrestle with that sometimes to know, is it like discontent or am I just being ambitious to drive towards that next thing? So
yeah, I think that is
it's a slippery slope a little bit.
Yes, I think that's the challenge. So that's what we're talking about today, which is contentment and
financial contentment, that is.
Yes.
And how you navigate that, because I don't know, we were going through a small group study through our church, and it prompted some thought.
Yeah, it did. And it's making us go a little deeper on how we feel about stuff and money and you said the word achievement, and I think that's fair game too, because I think reaching higher levels of income is a part of achievement.
I think though, like when you talk about contentment in today's society, that's not something people really think about, because people are always thinking about, how do I get a bigger house? How do I get a nicer car? How do I get fresher gear? All the things. And I've said it to you in the past that a lot of times people want the trappings of wealth, but they don't really have true wealth. They may have, the designer clothes, or they may have the expensive car, and they may live in a nice neighborhood, but once you start to peel that onion back, they've got a lot of debt. They got a huge mortgage. They've got a really high car note. Like you hear about people having $1,000, $1,500 car notes, which is insanity.
Oh, I have a client with a $1,000 car note, and the first time I saw it, I had to keep my composure. But yes, and I also think that we pretend we're happy by getting more stuff, and that can be a challenge, right? I think because contentment is all about happiness and satisfaction. And to me, it is like that intersection. It's like, okay, where are you happy as well as satisfied? Where you don't necessarily need more, better, greater, all of that. And I don't think it's easy to really identify and carve out those spaces where you fully are content. I think if we are being honest, it's not in every place, every area of our life that we're content.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you can look back at certain parts of your life and say, yeah, I'm content here, and
where are you content, babe?
I'm content with, my loving relationship with my wife.
Oh my goodness, did you that change in voice?
Well,
hey.
I mean, it's because I'm content takes me to a happy place.
So does that mean I never get on your nerves?
No, I ain't say that. I didn't say that. This is the podcast where we talk about relationships and money.
So you can be content, like satisfied and not wanting something else, and it still not be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think if we're talking about financial contentment and navigating that, this particular group made us think about, like, do we need to go after more stuff, more things? And it made me just take pause because I know I'll walk into my closet in the morning like, man, I don't have anything to wear.
This is not just a woman thing.
No, but it's like you got 25 pairs of jeans or 30 pairs of pants, or you got shirts and this.
And how many pairs of socks, babe?
See, you all up in my business.
I told you I'm feeling froggy today. You all up in my business. I'm just, I
like to coordinate my socks. We
counted the socks. You are a sock collector.
Yes, it's different when you're a collector or connoisseur of.
Different though. You still own
I haven't
them.
bought any new socks though. I've been content with my sock collection.
No, you have not, sir. You have definitely said, I need a pair of socks with this color in it.
I may have said it, but I didn't act upon it.
It don't matter. That's discontentment.
Well, I feel like I didn't act upon it, so is it really discontentment?
Yes, because you said what can I say the number? I'm about to say the number. It's about to make me so happy. The 100 pair of socks that you have was not enough, is what you said, essentially.
People, don't look down on me because I'm just doing me. Okay?
Yes. Now, I will say you are a collector of fun, different kinds of socks that
I like
people might not have.
Men can't do a whole lot, so I like to mix it up with my sock game.
And you have like the periodic table on some socks. And
look, how many people with the periodic table?
I mean, it's pretty
socks? Cool.
I mean, Right. You got a lot of different kinds. Anyway, that's a fun thing to do, but
I was content, and this, I mean, we're talking about socks, right? But you can apply it to anything in your life that can cause you to overindulge.
Yeah.
And I said I was content because though I may have wanted some additional socks, I said I don't really need any additional socks because I'm running out of space. When I'm trying to find something, I got to dig through all the socks that are there looking for one particular pair of socks. And I said to myself, just wear what you have. And so I found a space of contentment, even though I may have wanted something more. I pulled back and saying that, it's really not necessary. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where people sometimes go wrong is they'll want it and they don't need it, but then they go and they still get it.
Yeah. And I think, our overly marketed to society makes it hard on us. And that's the honest truth. I mean, everybody's trying to get you to buy their thing, their product, and that
nobody's thinking about not buying it because, do I really need it? And I think depending upon your financial situation will help dictate whether you buy into that marketing or if you're able to say, no, I can't do it because there's a limitation.
Yeah.
And the lack of ability to pursue it or buy it or participate.
And I think it also requires some discipline that we do not want to take part in. That's the honest truth. I think even if we have limited funds, you can still be discontent even if you can't act on it. Right. And I think no matter what your income is, you can be poor and discontent and you can be wealthy and discontent. And I
mean, they say money doesn't change you. It only amplifies more of who you are anyway. So.
And it doesn't solve problems.
No.
It provides resources and it's a tool, but it doesn't solve the issue at hand, right? So if you're unhappy, more stuff really isn't going to fix it. You have to figure out what where that internal happiness and peace and joy comes from.
I think you bring up a good point when you talk about being marketed to and being a consumer society. And so I'll ask you this question. Do you think there is the ability to be content financially or with, whatever it is you have when there's always this bigger, better, next thing that's out there? Do you think people have the ability to be content when the situation is like that?
I think people have the ability. It's whether they tap into it. Because I could easily have the ability to say, I don't need any more clothes because I have enough to like make it for like quite a while through all the seasons, right? Enough coats. We are
Right.
collectors of coats.
She has enough of everything.
Listen, I have followed in your footsteps. I have. Why you pushing me away, babe? Why?
I needed to move my arm,
But
need to work my shoulder a little.
I think we are enticed and we
Yeah.
are bamboozled and we are, attracted to all the latest, greatest, shiny things. And there was a time, like, even when we would all get new phones. And I tried to push against it. I don't need a new phone. Why I need a new phone every 2 years? That makes me mad. I don't feel like going through this process.
Look, if you don't know, iPhone 20 is on the way. So for all you iPhone 15ers, iPhone 20 is in development.
And I care not. Like, there are things that I just don't care about. And so I get frustrated if I have to upgrade.
Yeah, but I think in that regard you're an anomaly. Because most people want the latest, greatest. And when it comes to technology, what I mean. When it comes to technology, like, we've got a friend and we know, if you listen to this, you know who you are. Like, if they change one instance or one version of the latest TV, like, I got to get the latest TV, and this is a OLED or a whatever.
Yeah.
So, but he enjoys that.
So everybody has their area. I would say too, where they probably would get sucked into it. So for me, my area of contentment is I have a nice car. I don't need the latest and greatest car. My car right now is technically like 8-9 years old, and I'm good. Like, I'm fine, and I could drive this car for a while. There are a few things about it that make it challenging. I've had a couple pothole instances that.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the car per se.
It has to do with how I drive routinely around a city where potholes exist everywhere.
Yes.
But I love the car.
It makes you keep your head on a swivel.
It does, because I promise you, every year I hit a pothole and I be praying that I did not mess up a tire, because the same month or 1 month after I got this car, I hit a pothole and had to replace a tire. I was so mad. I was so mad.
That was I was pretty upset at that, because that was a pretty costly endeavor.
The pothole was as big as you.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't avoid it. So.
But I think that's a good example, because you have continued to express contentment in that area.
Yeah.
Whereas most people, we know someone, they change cars like every year, every couple years. And I know people where I see them, I was like, man, didn't you just have such and such car? And then boom, before I can turn my head, they've got a different car. And I know some people like vehicles, but that's a highly depreciating asset.
You love vehicles.
I love cars, but I'm still of the mindset that, that just seems too quick to turn cars over. But even in that area, I've been content. I've been talking about buying a car, but I've been content to not go and buy it, because I looked at the bigger thing. I said yes to the thing that was bigger to me, and that was, having savings, having retirement, paying our home off. Those things are bigger things to me, because that, to me, yields to my overall contentment and a greater level of contentment, because I'm willing to say no to those things to strive after something else.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people will say, well, you're still not content because instead of doing this, you're doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also your personal definition of where do you feel like it's enough. Like, I definitely feel like I'm content with the car. I'm content with our home. I don't feel like I need something bigger, better. Though we've made some renovations to stay here, but I'm not interested in a brand new house. Like that doesn't. Man. It's not moving me. Right.
I thought I was interested in that.
Yes.
Until you get into it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I really don't want this.
No,
this is not what I want to do.
Definitely. I'm content in my relationships. I'm content in my church home. I'm content in the work that I do. But you mentioned it in the beginning, like I feel like I'll never have all the right clothes. I feel like every season there's something new I want. There is
But
like
what I've come to realize with you in this particular area is that you have a limit. You have a threshold
I do.
of what you are willing to spend.
I do.
Like I think some people, when you talk about contentment or discontent, some people are of the mindset that they want like, the Gucci and the Louis and all of this. And I just know that's not your jam.
No.
And because it's not your jam, I typically don't worry about it because you in and of yourself are not going to go out and just spend like $500 on clothes or a single item because it does not matter to you.
As a matter of fact,
to that degree.
As a matter of fact, right now I have an item that I purchased and I just got an email that said this store got 25% off of everything, and you better believe I'm getting my money.
You're like, I'm going to get my adjustment.
Oh, don't even trip because I bought it 2 days ago.
Right.
3 days ago.
Look, go get your money.
Oh, come on now. That's what's up. I'm getting that money. So, I don't enjoy spending money, but I like those things. So I'll be honest, like I feel like sometimes when I go into my closet and I'm looking, I have nice things. But because I don't always have the right thing for all of the situations, I'm always buying something new.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
You're always on the hunt.
I am, and it's a problem. So
is that contentment or would that be discontent?
Like I just feel like it's never enough. So if we talk about it in those terms,
so that's an
area. Will
my
closet ever be enough? Is the question.
So that's an area that you would say you're discontented.
Always. Okay. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm never satisfied. You know.
So this brings.
So where are you never satisfied?
Well, hold on. This brings some interesting points.
Okay.
Because we're talking about financial contentment, and it seems like people are never happy, never fully satisfied, never contented, always wanting or striving for more. So, do you think that both can exist at the same time?
What both?
Being happy and contented in one area and maybe not happy or content in another area? Yes. Or is this something that you should have overall your level of contentment?
No, I think both can exist. Absolutely. And I think that's the point I'm making too, is that I absolutely think both can exist. And there are times when I'm like, oh, she cute. She got the outfit on. We doing it. And then the next day I'll be like, I don't have nothing to wear. So I can have one moment of this I'm satisfied with what I have on, and another moment where I'm like, not so much, right? And so I think everybody could have that in different areas. And I think that there are times, we could take this off of goods and stuff and move on to like income and wealth accumulation. And my thought is that a lot of people are not content with their salary, for instance, their benefits, their, amount in their savings account. And I think part of the challenge, of course, is that we're not content with these other areas that we mentioned, the goods, the cars, the house, and all of that. So we end up spending more money on those things, and we make the money not enough.
Well, I think part of that is like people want to strive to, get from level to level. You hear me talk about good, better, and best. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, well, this is good, but I want better.
Yeah.
And when you reach better, people want best. Mm-hmm. And then when you're at best level, you're like, best will only do.
Yeah. And you don't want to go backwards.
You're not going to go back to better, and you're not going to go back to good. So then best becomes the new bar for you. And that's what happens with people when they get promotions or they get new jobs or new opportunities and they level up. Now that becomes the best level. And they reset a lot of times because what was best before, now it becomes good. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, I got good now, so now I got to go from what previously was best.
Right.
Now it's good, and I got to go to better. Mm-hmm. And people are always stretching the limits. And I think there's a lot to be said about that because it gets into your mental, to your psyche. And I think it can penetrate relationships because if you're always seeking, you reach best, And best was what you were striving for. But when you get there and now it's not good enough and you have to push the limit, now a spouse or a partner, they can feel, strain or pressure to provide or strain and pressure to maintain that.
So let's talk about that. You have a very detailed description here. Like, is that how you feel? Like, I mean, because you just laid that out. It was easy. That didn't take no thought. I mean, is that your world?
I think that in my life, that from a career perspective, I was always driven to go from level to level.
Yeah.
And I always had goals of positions I wanted to reach and income levels I wanted to achieve. And I will say I was guilty of it. Like when I would hit one position level or I would hit one income level, I was like, okay, now I got to reset. I got to reassess. And I didn't really think of that as, not being content. I just felt like it was me being ambitious or me being, pushing myself to get to the next level. But I think it can become discontent when you are pushing yourself in a way that is unhealthy.
True. Absolutely.
Or you're pushing yourself in a way where now you're willing to do or accept things that are not going to be beneficial to you or that could be detrimental to your relationship.
Yeah.
Because now I got to get this next position. So now I'm willing to work at all hours of the day, or I'm willing to stay after. I'm willing to do all these extra things that can dampen the time you can spend with your partner or you can spend with your children. And then the person who begins to sacrifice is the other person in the relationship because you're pursuing position or you're pursuing money. And as far as me, you asked me a question. Was that
I know? Because where's the answer, sir? Where's the answer?
That was a little drawn out.
Come on now.
I think I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I want to push myself and continue to grow, but I put priority on things that matter most to me. And so I wouldn't let positions push me to a point where I was willing to sacrifice outside of the scope of what I felt was acceptable.
So you, years ago, had a goal, an income goal that you wanted to achieve annually. You wanted to get to this place, and it seemed like a great place to be, and it seemed like at that time you were thinking that would be enough. That would be the enough number, that contentment number, right? And so you've achieved it. So I'm curious.
Glory to God.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Good job, honey.
You see the little, she gave me the little tap tap.
I mean, okay. Oh, you want a kiss? What you need, baby? Okay. So, see, now I'm all messed up. I don't know what I was saying. See, we ain't supposed to be kissing on the podcast anyway. But do you feel like you're content with your income today?
Look, now I'm not gonna not take any money that I can get.
True.
Okay.
But I mean,
but
are you happy and satisfied with where you are? Income earning.
I feel like there's always potential to earn more. And I feel like I'm satisfied as far as from a provision perspective, but I want to have a greater impact. I want to do more things. So I want the freedom and latitude to do that. And that means I could be a bigger giver. I could give to causes. We've talked about creating, like a scholarship. So now it becomes a passion. So it's not about
it's not about you anymore.
Right. It's not about me just reaching a level so I and you and our family can consume. But it's like, okay, now I can reach a level where I can have a bigger impact on those around me. I can do some of the things to impact people in the world in a way that previously I may not have been able to do. So it makes me think about if I have the ability to continue to earn and continue to do, why not do it? Because then I can, retire early, or I could, impact family members or friends or do those things that we were talking about. So does that make sense?
I mean, it does. I think that is, I don't know. I think I'm in a place where discontentment is that, or I should say, when you are an achiever does that negate the ability to be content in that area? Because so you don't have to answer. I think it's food for thought, because that is sort of the quandary. It is trying to go to those next levels, and we're specifically talking about income and growing your savings or your net worth, and when is enough enough?
Well, I think we've had this conversation recently, just to be transparent to people. Like, I was talking about, like, man, we're reaching a point in life where, debt we've eliminated debt, houses virtually paid for, and like it makes you start to look at things differently. And I think that when you set, so this is what I would say to people who are listening. When you set a goal and you reach that goal, and then you reach an income level or you reach a level of freedom, that's when you have to just kind of say, you know what, I've reached that. I am content, but let me reassess and start to reevaluate what your goals should look like moving forward. And I think that's where people have to get to that point, because I think contentment requires you to take your eye off of just you.
That's the big thing. To me, that is the big hairy thing, is that if you are content, then it's less about you and more about others, and more about what you can do versus what you can have. And that to me is exciting. It's not always a linear path, but
Yeah.
it is that to me is exciting, is to be a person who is in a position to do more, make a greater impact. And then it's less about what it is that we have, and we're not hungry, searching, longing for things. We're more so like, what can God do through us, and how can I use my skills, gifts, and talents to be a blessing to other people in a way that is justly paid for.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
look, people, I'm a capitalist, okay?
Uh-oh, here we
So
go. See?
I'm about that business,
And I
and I'm about, like, I've always been, ever since we've been married, when we first met, I was a high drive person. I would never rest on my laurels. I was always going to be hustling to try and make things happen. And I feel like I'm never going to stop doing that. But am I always going to be like, man, we got to get the next house or the next bigger house or the next this or the next that? I think my attitude is changing about that. Will we indulge and do things in life, like, get a nicer car? Sure, I'm sure we will. Or, go on vacations. I'm sure we're going to do that. But that's not the thing that I'm always striving or pushing towards. I feel like when you reach a level of contentment, all that stuff becomes ancillary. It's just add-ons, It's just kind of, we'll be able to do that.
I
And
feel like it's
now,
both and, right?
okay,
You get to enjoy
tell me more.
yourself, and you get to do things for others, and you get to, you know what I mean? I feel like it's both and, because I think for a lot of times we're always trying to figure out how to get out of a hole when we're getting out of
Hmm.
debt. And then when you get out of the hole, you're like, okay, so how do I have both and? How do I get to enjoy and also give or do for other people? That's the balance that's
That's a good
helpful.
way. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's both
Yeah.
and it's almost like you can eat the fruit and you can do more to impact those around you.
And one of the things that I feel like is important, because I'm a real practical person, my engineering mind comes in. I love calculators and running numbers and things like that. But I think one of the things that is helpful in the whole conversation around contentment is to know what actually is enough. To literally calculate how much emergency fund is enough.
Hmm.
How much does your house need to run? What is enough for your household right now? And
So
what
let's get
is
practical with people then.
well, and one more, your net worth. Like,
Uh huh.
what is enough for retirement? How much do you like? I think retirement is a number, it's not an age. And so knowing what that's going to look like for a person will help you to know when enough is enough. And I think so in terms of dollars and cents, I do think it's something that you can calculate, and that can be helpful to see,
Absolutely.
am I at a place where financially will be taken care of, will be fine and satisfied.
I think those in the fire community would agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they're all about, financial independence, retire early, so it's all about a number.
Yeah.
And I would say that's probably a community that has reached a point of contentment because they're like, okay, this is what I need to do. Once I hit this number, I can go off and do all these other things that I want to do via retirement or, passion projects or whatever else it is you want to get into. And so I think to be practical with people, we always talk about planning, and you guys hear us talk about plan. Because if you don't plan, you're already planning to fail. It's that old adage or cliche. And so as we think about how do we make it worth it, I think you've got to determine where you want to go and then how you're going to get there. Because if you know that you have this retirement goal, if you want to have your home paid off, you want to be out of debt, and then you can say, I've reached a level of contentment, have a plan that will allow you to get there and help you work towards that plan. And then I would say, once you reach that, stop, smell the proverbial roses, and then reassess what's important to you at that time. Because what may have been important previously can change. And when you've eliminated debt, whatever form of debt, including your home, and you've got an emergency fund, and you've got retirement money, that's a position and a time to really say, okay, I can be content and I can focus on doing something else to have a broader level of impact. So, but when you talk about making it worth it at that point, what would you say is the thing that people need to do in order to make it worth it?
I think that this isn't something we actually talked about, but I think that something that would be good to do is take care of what you got. And I think sometimes we want bigger, better, greater, and we spend money on those things and we haven't taken good care of what we have. So there was a season that and I'm going back to my own example of I went in my closet and I'm tried on everything and I got stuff altered or dry cleaned or, I was like, I'm not wearing this or this doesn't fit right. And I spent a couple $100s on alterations to make sure it fit my body the way I wanted to. And then I began to wear all of these clothes that had been sitting in my closet. I want to take care of my car. You
restyled your closet.
Right. But also with my car, one of the things that we want to do is just get it detailed so it can have that nice new feel. You know what I mean? We did a little project on our house to make it feel like it's not a new home. It's by far a new home, but there are some new things to us to freshen it up and take care of what we have. Right. And so if things are in disrepair, it kind of makes you feel like you want to go spend some money on something brand spanking new. I'm like, get it repaired, And so that's just practical because I feel like sometimes it's easy. I think that's at least something to explore for people before we go spending money on something brand new just because the market or the industry, the society is telling us we should. Figure out what you got in your house and make sure that you're taking care of that stuff first.
Yeah, those are very great points. And
you know who I learned that from?
Who'd you learn that from?
I learned that from you. Did you know that? Because you always say you take good care of your shoes. You take good care of. There are lots of things that you go the extra mile to do to ensure things last, and you have a lot of stuff that has lasted a long time. And I honestly, for sure learned this from you because I definitely didn't learn it from my parents. I know how to tear some stuff up. I know how to. I'm not even gonna lie. I know how to tear some stuff up. But I learned that from you because I learned that you take care of your stuff, it'll last longer for you. And if you do that, the point in buying something else?
It's funny you bring this up because, remember recently I pulled that blazer out.
Right, that was eons old.
I have a blazer that
it's older than our relationship almost.
I still can fit it.
That's a blessing all in of itself.
This blazer is 20-something years old and it still looks new.
Yeah.
And I can still fit it. So I was like, You know, if you take care of your stuff will take care of you. And sometimes that's why I'm willing to spend a little bit more money on some things. But I think you make some very good points about identifying where you're at, take care of your space, you know, restyle yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because you got clothes that you haven't worn. If you go and you just mix it up, match it up.
Yeah, I've done that.
You got a whole new outfit.
That's right.
You got a whole new hookup.
That's right. Right. So, but this was good. I'm hopeful that people will consider what contentment looks like for them, and in what areas they could, you know, use a little work on, and maybe refine some things in the house in order to, you know, find that contentment.
Yeah, I say take a moment and think about this. If nothing else, just assess where you're at, and then, you know, see, are you content? Are you discontent?
And what needs to shift so you are.
This was good.
Yeah.
So hope you guys appreciate this and found value in it. And
that's right. Until next time,
we're out. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on ForBetterandWorth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.